So now what you want to be able to do, and I'm going to show you two ways to do this, and they're not going to be efficient ways of doing it. What I'm going to get you to do, I'm going to kind of show you part of it that is efficient and then see if you can make it even more efficient. So what we're going to do, so imagine the game has finished, okay? So the game has finished, you've typed quit, it's jumped out of this, but what you want to do is you want to check whether somebody has won the game or not. Now what you're going to need to do is, again, look in the positions on your 2D array. Now one of the ways that you might do it, and I'm going to show you, is you could go for row in range, and we know there are 3 rows. Rather than using len to find the length of it, we're going to put for row in range if, I'm going to copy this, all right, if game board row, and we're going to go position 0 is equal to x, and game board row 1 equals x, and game board row, game board, we're going to say 2, just making sure I've done that, equals x, then player we're going to print, all right, x wins, okay? I'm going to go onto this one. If game board, in fact, what I can do here, all right, is part of this, let's check if that is O. All right, so I've got that. I'm going to put O wins. All right. In fact, I am going to move this inside this loop because I want to check it every time they're playing a counter. If I leave it here, that's not a good thing because it's only going to check it if they've ever typed quit. All right. What I need to do is run this inside the loop so I'm always checking every time somebody places a counter whether or not they've won. Like I said, there are more efficient ways of doing this. All right. So I'm just giving you the basics so I can explain how the row and the column works because some of you are at different points in your programming. So I'm going to move this forward here. Now, what's going to happen now is whenever a counter has been placed, it's going to move straight to this bit of code. What this does is when it gets to a row, it's going to go in the first position, the second, so it's going to go into the first column, the second column, and third column, and check if they are all X. Yeah? If they are all X, then X wins. In this one, it's going to check whether they are O. If they are all O's, let me make sure I use the right symbol for that, then O wins. All right? Making sense? Now, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to create a Boolean that says winner equals true. And I'm going to create another one that says winner equals true. Now, I'm going to add this up here because I'm going to use this later on. Winner equals false. So there's no winner when my game starts, all right? So now, as I go through this, it's going to check whether somebody has won or not, all right? Now, what I can then do at the end of this, all right, is I can come out of this for loop, and I can say if winner equals true, then break, and it will jump out of that while loop for me. So let's check if I can put 3 in a row, all right? I'm going to run this. So I'm going to go for, let's go position 1, 1, X, okay, 1, row 1, 2, X. You can see it's placing it, row 1, 3, X, And you can see it's jumped out of that because it's detected that all three of those in that row. Yeah, so each time it goes onto a row, it's checking all of them, all right? And it will do the same because it's inside the row loop. Remember that, okay? We've got a 2D array and we are in that. Now, when it comes to doing it diagonally, okay, it gets a little bit more complicated. I'm going to give you how you might do that. But all I need to do is recycle this bit of code. What I want you to do as part of this task is see if you can figure out how to do a for loop that increases, or even a while loop that increases the value of the X and Y, the X and Y coordinate, like your row and column at the same time, so you can get your diagonal. But I'm going to show you how to do it manually first, all right? So if you think about it, if I need to do the first item in the top left corner of my grid, that is 0, 0. The middle is going to be 1, 1. And the final one is going to be 2, 2. All right. So think about how you could use a single for loop here and just put the same number in each one. And that can get you your grid. So that would be 1, 5, and 9. Okay. So that would check it diagonally. All right. Let me change that back and change that back. Now, just so you can see what that looks like finished, all right, I'm going to show you. So if I wanted to do X going from the top left down to the bottom right, that is checking the X's. If I'm doing that with the O's, that is doing it with the O's. Notice it's going to be slightly more complicated if you're going from the bottom left up to the top right. So I'm going to stop recording this video. Those videos will be put on Google Classroom for you to watch back. Pay attention to them. If you need to, go back to the week before that you missed. If you were absent, they are all there and the PowerPoint that goes with it. So I would like you to get your game of TiCTacToe finished today. Those of you that have and get it finished, I need your annotation and your commenting. So your annotation and commenting of your code to show you understand all the programming techniques. Do we have any questions? Remember, there is no such thing as a silly question. Everyone's at different points in their programming.
What does the break do?
The break, what that allows us to do is if we have this while loop up here, it breaks out of that loop so that we no longer need to do it. So when we go to break, it will jump straight out of that loop and end it for us, okay? Any more? Yes?
What if they get 3 in a row in columns?
That is where you've got to finish the game. So think about the position of the zeros. All right, so we've got rows and we've got, if we're going diagonally, then you need to then use your knowledge of what you've learned over this to work out how you would iterate just the column, okay? I'm going to stop recording there and allow you to get on with that.